So I just came back from Sedona, Arizona for the first time. I've never been, and it was magical. And while I was there, I painted a lot. And then I painted more. And then I painted a little bit more. And I think you're gonna like seeing this. Before we get started, I have to show you what's on my art table right now. It's my art table paper. Of course, it's filled up. So obviously this paper, I'm done with it. I'm ready for it to leave my desk. Okay, so this is cut away from my desk and I did a really crappy job at the bottom, but I don't care. I'm gonna I think what I'm gonna do is cut this up using my viewfinder. You've seen me do this before, where I just find really interesting parts to salvage. Maybe, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I know that's a moth, which inspired me to carve this moth. So I was really happy with this guy. Really happy with it. Kind of cute. So I'm likely just gonna cut this all up, find some interesting parts, and make swatches out of them, glue it down in one of my sketchbooks, and see what happens. I don't know. But that's not what I'm working on right now, because now I want to show you the things that I painted in Sedona. So I have a friend who lives in Phoenix, and we had already made a plan that we were going to drive to Sedona and spend several days at a vacation rental, one with a view, and you're not going to believe this. It was amazing. So before I had arrived, I sent to her house a big roll of paper. It's the mixed media paper that I use that is on my art table, and you've seen me talk about this before. It's the paper that's attached to the roll at the top of my desk, underneath my desk, and then I just keep it feeding across my desk and then remove it, cut it off when it's full, and keep going. So I knew I was gonna only use watercolor, and I was gonna bring my own watercolors, but I wanted to make sure that I had enough paper because I knew we were gonna be hanging out in the house, chilling, relaxing, not doing a whole lot. Now we had decided before we went that we weren't gonna do a lot of hiking. She was preparing for a surgery upon her return back to Phoenix, and me, I'm in the process of getting ready for a hip replacement surgery in March. So we already knew we weren't gonna do a lot of walking or hiking, and we joked that the only walking we're gonna be doing is back and forth to the hot tub. So we knew we were just gonna go and relax and enjoy the view and just really chill out. And we did. So I had sent the roll of paper to her house. I had sent some other tools. She had a lot of supplies as well. And when we left her house, we also grabbed her portable, like a banquet table that she had in her garage, and we brought that. And you come into these red rocks, it's overwhelming. The energy, the majesty, it is so beautiful. And these red mountainous rocks are just right there. You can touch them almost. And it's one of those things where a picture doesn't really quite explain it. I know you know what I'm talking about, but it's just so incredible in real life. And absolutely, I could feel the vortex in Sedona. It's one of the few places in the world that apparently is a vortex. I don't know much about it, but it is a high energy place, and I definitely could feel that. We got to the house, we walked in, and there was this huge picture window with this amazing view, and it blew us away. We were literally just standing there aghast for a few minutes going, wow. And I took a million pictures, and not a single one of them grabs the essence of that magnitude, that view. There were many views, not just one. So we set up the table right in front of the picture window. It was almost like it was just waiting for us to do that. And I covered that table with paper. I also covered their kitchen table with paper, which was a little tricky because it was round, but I was committed. And I brought some tape and I just secured it really well because I wanted to protect everything. But primarily I set up my paint area right in front of the big picture window with all my paints. That just was the most logical place. I brought a big collection of watercolors that I packed in my suitcase. I brought one tube of white gouache, and I brought a bottle of black acrylic ink, and that was it. I didn't want to do a whole bunch of art supplies because I knew I really just wanted to paint and paint and paint. I was definitely inspired to paint. I was so glad that I didn't have to go do anything. I didn't have to go participate in any touristy things. We went to the grocery store, we got food, we had food delivered, we relaxed. She slept, which she had not been able to do for a while. It was perfect for her. We turned on YouTube, the ambient channels. I'm a huge fan of those, where it's this cool music in the background and it has different vignettes or different landscapes or mystical places. I'm a fan of many of them and I have them on all the time in my house. So we had that playing. I was painting, she was resting, and it was glorious. So these were the paints I was using. These are my favorites. The only issue with these is that they are fugitive colors. They won't hold up to sunlight. This is more fine art watercolor, and it will hold up much better to sunlight exposure. So just keep that in mind if it's something that you want to save for the future. So when I first got my table all set up and I just really wanted to start painting, I just jumped in and I just went crazy. I didn't worry about how it was going to look. I just had to express it and see what would happen. And this was one of the first pieces. This as well. This is really interesting. I like it. I like them all, actually. But something's got weird going on here. It's like an Ewok eye or something. I don't know what that's about. But I could come back and add to it, but I just like looking at the creative expression I had from that moment. And so that's why I don't really go back and try to make them different. This one was one of the first ones too. It's one of the larger pieces. I'm not even that in love with it, but I think what it just shows me what I was feeling at the time and how I was trying to express it. And of course, you know, always doing color swatches to try to figure things out, seeing which colors work best, exploring mixing colors because it's just so much fun. And it's relaxing, of course. Not sure, but I still like it. Not really sure what's going on, but I mean, these big blobs of brown, trying to add shadows. Does it work? Maybe. I did use the back of my paintbrush a little bit here. You can see the lines when the paint was wet. This one, just really expressive, abstract. This one here, trying to just grab some shapes simply with a few colors, see what would happen. A real mild sky. And then I started adding more greenery. This got really too tight, I think, but it still gives you the impression of what's going on with the trees and the greenery speckled throughout. Don't even know what this is, but I think I have an idea for it. This was just completely loose and just didn't even care. Now, even though I did have the paper covering the tables, I did keep one piece of paper off to the side to wipe my brush on, to try colors out, and it ended up being this piece, which I, of course, cut it up and folded it into a concertina book. So what I think I'm gonna do on this piece here is make a cover for this one, for the front and the back, and then that will be the cover. So I'll do a short on that and you'll see what I'm talking about. And you know, you do have to just play and try just random experiments. They don't have to be exact from what you're looking at. It can just be playing with color, being inspired by the movement, by the activity, by the colors. And you always have to do watercolor blobs because that's just so relaxing. Again, it doesn't have to have any meaning. It's just moving color and paint around. I don't even know. I think I was trying to figure out color here, but I was also looking at bleed and bloom. Again, more bleeding and blooming. Seeing if I could capture some of the lines in the rocks. And then just, you gotta make ugly art. You do. You have to make things that are just, that make no sense, that have no interest. Maybe this can be interesting if I cut them into swatches. Maybe there would be something unique. I don't know, maybe not. It might go into the recycle bin. Again, this one I was trying different linear techniques with some splattered water. This I was using the paint shaper with some green, just because, and just exploration. I really like this here. Here I was trying to keep it minimalist with color and just see what could happen if I could do something kind of soft. This one, I don't even know what that is, but I don't care. I still love it, and I think it's the colors. I can see the rocks a little bit. The sky is totally out of control, but maybe it will get cut up. Maybe it won't. I don't know. Here I was working on some colors, and this kind of spoke to me, this part here, you know, where I could kind of, so now you can see the landscape in here. That's kind of where that developed. And I really do like this one. I like this real elongated horizontal piece, and I like how the paint interacted and actually gave me more of a feeling of what I was looking at. Another really, really quick one, just do it, play with it, move some water and paint around, and be done. This one I was very specific. I wanted to do it quickly, but I only wanted to use the paint shaper. So I was just doing it to get as the most basic, abstract, elementary expression, shapes, movement. That was it. And I really like this. I think it's just kind of rough and primitive. Here, moving a lot of paint. You can see where I mixed the gouache in with the watercolor. Now this one, I kind of started getting in my head a little bit, and I started to obsess and maybe spend too much time. So this one was a timed piece. I gave myself 10 minutes to see what I could come up with in 10 minutes. I actually wish I would have done more timed pieces, because there's something so liberating about doing timed pieces that you just say, screw it, I've got to just go and not think about it and see what comes out of my hands. So that's what happened here. I really like this one. This one here, I like this. I got a lot of the blooming effect with the watercolor, which gave me the effect I was going for. So I was really happy with this one. And then this is the last piece I did. I don't know if it was the last piece, but finally this one. I don't really remember the order in which they all happened, only just the beginning ones primarily. So I was really happy with all of them. I think that some of them may get framed. My husband is starting to work on matting, so I kind of let him decide what he might want to see in a frame. And it was absolutely magical. I loved it. It was so inspiring, and I hope you were inspired too. The views were everywhere from different angles on the porch. It was a lovely, lovely place. It was really just one of those trips where you go, wow, that was amazing. And I feel changed from it. So there's two pieces that I don't have with me to show you right now. One is my Sedona study, where I just took a large piece of paper and I just randomly made these 4x4 black squares all around, and I used those to make just really quick studies, thinking what would happen if I do this, or maybe I'll try it this way, or what if I do this shape and these colors. And it turned out really cool. I ended up leaving it with her, my friend, because that's what she wanted. She liked it, so I said, you can have it. Also, I worked on a piece that I knew I was going to fold into a concertina book, like I did in my previous video, and I'll leave a link for that at the end of this video and in the description. And so I knew I was going to be folding it up into the thirds, which you've seen me do, and then I was going to leave it with her. So after I had played with all of these paintings, I sat down and really focused on this one piece where I knew I was going to make it into a concertina book. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of it cut up and folded, which is what I did once we got back to Phoenix, and I had a place where I could really measure. And not that it was perfect, because my pieces are never perfectly matched up or in line, but I was able to square it off and fold it into a book and leave it with her. Unfortunately, I don't have pictures of it folded into a book, so use your imagination. So it turned out that the kitchen table kind of it didn't get a lot of action. It was a landing spot, but I wasn't actually painting much there. And the last day, the paper was still kind of white, and I said, let's just paint it out. And so we put some music on, and we just were doing real expressive painting, strokes of color, randomness, moving with the music. It was a lot of fun. And then she picked up, for some reason, I don't know, and then she picked up the black ink and she scribbled it all across, and then she didn't like it. And she said, oh, that was a mistake. And I said, but wait. And so I handed her one of these rubber spatulas or rubber paint shapers, and she started moving the black ink, and then of course, it took on a whole different life, and then she really loved it. And it turned out to be the most interesting part of the whole table. One of them. Of course, I'll leave all of the links for the products that I used in the description below. I'm telling you, I'm really glad I bought that big roll of watercolor paper, because I didn't have to worry about running out of paper, and I knew I could paint big, and it was the perfect thing. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? And I'll see you in the next video.